When I saw these mason jar tissue dispensers, I knew I had to try it. I got a 4-pack of plain mason jars at Walmart, picked up two packs of the tissues that come in the tube. There are so many things and so many different ways you can decorate these. For my first project, I went a little bit primitive. I started by painting the jar with black chalk paint, and I'm using a sponge dauber. I find using a sponge dauber for the first coat works best on glass, and I just tapped the paint right on there using the sponge dauber. Once it dried, I used a paintbrush to paint the final coat, and it gives it a smooth finish that way. And I stenciled a star on the front. It's not a primitive star, but it's a star, and I like stars, and I'm using Tuscan Red. It's a folk art home decor chalk paint. And just keep in mind, whenever you're stenciling, the secret to stenciling is starting off with a very little bit of paint on whatever you're using to stencil. A sponge dauber, a foam brush, a stencil brush, or a makeup wedge. Start off with a little bit of paint and then start your stenciling. Work in layers. I was lucky enough with this one, it worked on the first try. Use that same dauber to paint the lid of the mason jar with that same Tuscan Red. And then with a wipe, I just applied some Valspar antiquing glaze. Now for the lid, I traced the lid onto some fun foam. My fun foam happens to have a sticky back, so I cut 2 circles and then stuck the sticky backs together and used a utility knife to cut an X on the top of it. And I put that into the lid, and before I put it together, I wrapped some twine around the top of the lid, and I decided to embellish a bit some more, so I added some pip berries, sisal fiber, a cute little homespun fabric bow. Of course, every rustic and farmhouse project needs a button, and so I added the button. Okay, now it's time to add the tissues. Take it out of the roll. I opened it up, and then that middle piece, I just lifted up that center piece, put it through the X in the fun foam, and voila, you have a tissue dispenser. So for this one, I'm using a napkin, going with the bee theme, and I just cut 1 square of the napkin, and I wasn't going to cover the whole jar. I just wanted it on the front. Now, something happened to my camera and it stopped working. I added bee fairy lights to the inside. I wrapped it around the tissues and then put it in the jar. And I also used fabric on top of the fun foam to where the tissues come out. And I am so sorry I lost that footage, but I'm going to show you what it looks like with the lights on and with the lights off. I love that one. And now you don't have to get super crazy or super creative. Do you have rub-on transfers? Cut your favorite image out, apply it to the jar, and you're done. Decorate it, embellish it, do whatever you want. And the good thing with the rub-on transfers, they scrape right off, so you can just use a different one for every season. am Leah with Make All the Things With Me. Thank you so much for watching.